A 38-year-old father finishes his 10-kilometer run on Sunday morning. He eats well, he exercises, he's not overweight. Later that day, he has a heart attack. Stories like this appear far more often than most people realize. Young father dies from a heart attack. Marathon runner suffers a heart attack at 38. Fit personal trainer rushed to the hospital. Every time a story like this appears, the comments all sound the same. But he looked so healthy. He went to the gym. He ate well. How is that even possible? Because we've all been told the same thing. Heart attack happens to those who are old, overweight, unhealthy. Not someone who trains every week, eats well, and not someone who looks fit. So how can someone who looks perfectly healthy still have a heart attack? Here's the truth. Looking healthy and having healthy arteries are not always the same thing. Chapter 2. Looking healthy. According to who? So how can someone who looks perfectly healthy still have a heart attack? Well, before we answer that, we need to talk about what we actually mean when we say someone looks healthy. Imagine two people standing right next to each other. The first person goes to the gym. They've got visible muscles. They're fit. The second person rarely exercises. They're overweight. Their diet isn't great. Now, if I asked you which one of these two people is more likely to have a heart attack, most people would probably pick the second person. And statistically, you'll often be right. But here's the problem. We're judging health based on our eyes, what we see, muscles, body fat, fitness, or even the amount of weights you're picking up at the gym. They don't actually tell us whether the arteries that are supplying blood to your heart are healthy or not. Because your body has two stories, the one you can see and the one you can't. You can spend years building muscle, getting stronger, and all of those things are fantastic for your health. But in the background, changes can be happening very quietly in your arteries that we can't see. Changes you can't feel, and changes you often don't know that existed. Heart attacks don't happen because someone looks unhealthy. They happen when blood flow to part of the heart is suddenly blocked. So the real question is not, does this person look healthy? The real question is, what is happening inside your arteries? And that's where the story begins. Part 3, the disease you can't feel. So what's actually happening inside those arteries? Imagine the arteries that supply blood to your heart are like highways. Every second, they're delivering oxygen-rich blood to the hardest working muscle in your body. And for years, traffic flows perfectly, no symptoms, no warning signs, no pain. Very slowly, something begins to change. Tiny particles of cholesterol begin working their way into the wall of the artery. Your immune system notices. It sends inflammatory cells to investigate. Over time, more cholesterol arrives, more inflammation happens, and little by little, a plaque begins to form. Not overnight, not over a few weeks. Often, it happens over many years, maybe even decades. The surprising part is, you probably wouldn't even feel anything. You could still go to work, you could still run 5 kilometers, still play sports, still look perfectly healthy. Because most plaques don't cause any symptoms while they're growing. They're silent. Now here's where things become more dangerous. Most people think a heart attack happens when the artery closes slowly and the blood cannot pass through. Sometimes that happens, but surprisingly, that's often not what causes the heart attack. Most of the heart attacks happen because of the plaque that wasn't even causing any major blockage. That plaque suddenly becomes unstable. Your body sees that crack almost like a cut on your skin. So it does exactly what it's designed to do. It forms a blood clot. And usually that's a good sign because that's how we stop the bleeding. But inside an artery, that blood clot can rapidly block the flow of the blood. And without oxygen, the heart muscle begins to die. Now that's a heart attack. Which means the problem isn't the size of the plaque. It's actually that the plaque suddenly becomes unstable. And that's exactly why someone can feel completely normal during the day and wake up in the hospital at night. Now, if this process happens quietly over many years, why does it happen to young people? Is it just bad luck? Or are there more things in the background that we're not talking about? Chapter 4, why does it happen to young people? So is it just bad luck? Well, sometimes, but more often, there's a reason. The challenge is many of those occasions are completely invisible. Take cholesterol, for example. You can't feel if it's high. You can't look in the mirror and tell. You could be the fittest person in the room, but still have an elevated cholesterol. For some people, that's because of lifestyle. For others, it's simply written in your genes. In fact, some inherited cholesterol diseases can cause the buildup of plaque much earlier in life, even if the person seems healthy. Then there's high blood pressure. It usually doesn't cause symptoms either. Exactly why it's called the silent killer. Year after year, it places extra stress on your arteries, making it easier for plaque to develop over time. Diabetes, smoking, vaping, chronic inflammation, they all increase the risk too. And there's one factor that most people often overlook, that's family history. If someone in your family or extended family has a known heart condition, your chances of getting a heart condition unfortunately become higher as well. It doesn't mean heart attacks are inevitable, but it does mean you shouldn't ignore it either. Because here's the important takeaway. Having one of those risk factors doesn't guarantee that you'll have a heart attack, and not having any of those doesn't guarantee that you will never have a heart attack either. Risk isn't black and white. It's something that builds over time, which is exactly why prevention matters before the appearance of any of those symptoms. So now another question is, if appearances are misleading and some of the biggest risk factors are completely silent, what can you actually do? Fortunately, there's a lot of things that are in your control. Chapter 5. So what should you actually do? So hearing all of this, you might be wondering, well, how do I know if my heart is healthy? The first is knowing your numbers. Do you know your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your blood sugar? And if you don't, you're not alone. Many people have no idea until they eventually get a test. The second is your family history. Has anyone in your family developed a heart condition at a young age? If the answer is yes, then it's worth telling your doctor. Now, it doesn't mean the same thing will happen to you, but it does mean you may benefit from an earlier assessment. And finally, don't underestimate the basics. Regular physical activity, a healthy diet, not smoking, managing your blood pressure, managing your cholesterol, getting enough sleep. And these are probably things that you've heard hundreds of times, but they're also some of the most powerful ways to reduce the risk of your cardiovascular disease. Because here's the thing that I don't want this video to do. I don't want someone who's eating healthy, who's exercising regularly, to think, what's the point of maintaining a healthy lifestyle if healthy people can also get heart attacks? That's the wrong takeaway. The reality is, those healthy habits dramatically reduce your risk. They're some of the best investments you can make in your future self. Looking healthy isn't the same thing as knowing that you're healthy. And that's why understanding your risks are just as important as maintaining that healthy lifestyle. So the next time you hear someone say he was far too healthy to have a heart attack, remember what we talked about in today's video. Our eyes can only see so much. The real story is often happening in the background, away from our eyes. Now, if this video changed the way you think about your heart, and if it taught you something new, consider sharing it with someone you care about. You never know, it might just encourage them to get their blood pressure checked, cholesterol checked, or have that conversation that makes the real difference. So until next time, stay curious, ask questions. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next Body Talk.